Hi there, welcome to my presentation. My challenge for myself was to better understand how to integrate differentiation into the classroom without developing individual lesson plans for each and every student. I just wasn't sure how to do this. So I'll break down this presentation with a little history, some expert advice, classroom and content initiatives, assessment overviews, and finally some very concrete suggestions for you to begin implementing immediately. I hope you enjoy it and learn something in the process. Now, differentiation is steeped in a tradition that goes a long way back. Although this may seem to be an exaggerated view of your middle school classroom, it is in fact the epitome of differentiation, where a teacher literally had to teach a wide breadth of content to a wide range of students. Now, in order to understand differentiation, we must first define it. We look to the guru of differentiation, Carol Tomlinson, to get that definition. Specifically, she defines differentiated instruction as factoring students' individual learning styles and levels of readiness first before designing the lesson plan. We again go to Tomlinson to get a true understanding of how differentiation impacts our classrooms. While many see it as a one-dimensional component, Tomlinson puts forth an idea that is much deeper than that, and it impacts the classroom in 4 different ways: through content, through process, through product, and finally through environment. When addressing content, we look to Bloom's taxonomy to really understand how differentiation can work. We know that by designing different activities for different groups of students, we can tap into the 6 levels of thinking as defined by Bloom. These levels, of course, are remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and finally creating at the highest level. When we look to process, we know that the student's learning style allows you to preempt your lesson development with focused initiatives that were going to impact your students. Of course, it's also important that a teacher knows their own learning styles so they can understand how this could bias teaching methodology. Each student has a preferred learning style, and successful differentiation includes delivering material to each style: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and of course through words. Finally, through product, we measure our students' success by observing how they apply the knowledge that they've learned. It's vital for us to provide a variety of options throughout the year as lesson or unit end product to determine each individual student's comprehension. Variation of product may be tests, projects, reports, presentations, and other activities. Giving students these options allows them to present their end product in a way that's most comfortable to them. One of the most overlooked components of differentiation, especially in middle school, is the creation of an environment that is conducive to different types of learning. While elementary school classes often offer a variety of areas in the classroom, middle school classrooms are usually more utilitarian because of the volume of students. This does not, however, mean that we have to completely limit our environmental scope. Options in the classroom environment offer options for learning. When students are given more options on how they learn material, they take on more responsibility for their own learning. So how do we as teachers create a classroom that offers opportunity for both teacher and student and integrates differentiation in a subtle and effective way? Any integration of differentiation in the classroom should be almost invisible to the student. It may mean teaching the same material to students using a variety of instructional strategies, and it may require the teacher to deliver lessons at varying levels of difficulty based on the abilities of individual students. Formative assessment in this area is essential as an ingredient for this method. Rebecca Alber wisely identifies start with the student as the first step to implementing differentiated instruction. In order to effectively do that and accommodate all students, an assessment of learning styles and interests can play a vital role. A differentiated classroom accommodates the heterogeneity of the students by tailoring the instruction to each student's individual parameters, their background, their interests, their skills, and of course their readiness levels. In Tomlinson's latest book, she goes to great length to describe specifically what differentiation shouldn't be and what it should be. What differentiation is not is something that a teacher does on the spot when it becomes evident that this lesson isn't working. It's not reactive or improvisational. What differentiation is something that a teacher plans prior to a lesson based on the assessment evidence of students' needs. It is proactive. While some improvisation may still be needed, it should not be the dominant means of differentiation. The best differentiation is based on pre-assessment and ongoing assessment. This should be and shouldn't be model also applies to learning styles. We've all seen in action groupings of students into categories and suddenly labels taking foundation. These are the smart students. These are the slow students. Nobody wants that in the classroom. As a result, we must look to learning styles as one of the many tools to adapt our lessons. Differentiation is not all or mostly based on particular approach to multiple intelligence or learning preferences. What it is a systematic attention to the readiness, interest, and learning profile of the students. Learning style is only part of the differentiation, to paraphrase Tomlinson. Using it as a single approach to intelligent preferences in the class only provides a narrow perspective to a much larger picture of differentiation. According to Dr. Judy Willis, a neurologist and author, by teaching with multiple learning models, we create more opportunities for the students to absorb the information. In other words, diverse learning methods result in the storage of information in several places in the brain, and this creates much more powerful connection. In this way, the content is truly learned and not just memorized. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention assessment in my differentiation discussion. It's the final tool for understanding whether your classroom is working from a both teacher and a student perspective. So necessary assessment includes pre-assessing the student's knowledge, formal or informally, to prepare for instruction. Product assessment, which is formative or summative, identifying the success of the student's ability to apply the learned material. And finally, process assessment, turning the microscope inward to examine the effectiveness of your particular strategies. Plan, do, evaluate, improve, and repeat. Now, we all know what we're supposed to do, but many of us may still be wary of exactly how to do it. Often the principal or the district mandates more differentiation in the classroom. However, without the tools, this simply isn't going to happen. So we need to look for true administrative support for differentiation, which includes initiative, impetus, and support from the administration, clear movement from vision to implementation, and finally a sustained and focused and flexible professional development. While much of what we've discussed is theory and models and strategies, this is all well and good unless we can walk into our classroom prepared with a lesson that allows for this seamless differentiation to occur. So wrapping up, I want to provide you with some very specific and concrete steps. Differentiation is not something that takes place overnight. You need to learn everything you can about your students, student surveys and inventories, identifying learning styles, analyzing prior test scores, and administering assessments. This all helps us to differentiate within our classroom. We have to begin small. Start with one differentiating activity at a time. Offering choice promotes independence and ownership, and then we gradually move toward more difficult variations. You have to create realistic expectations for you and your students, provide clear and concise directions, teach routines and procedures, and take ample time to plan. And finally, stay up to date, attend conferences and professional development, observe others, and seek feedback on your own. There's a quote by Arthur Ashe in which he tells us to focus on the journey, not the destination. Differentiation helps us focus in that way. Education is a journey. Differentiation is one of the many vehicles we use. As teachers, we should always be looking for ways to improve our journey. So we go back to our differentiated classroom and note the look of misery on both the teacher's face and the children's face. Hopefully, with a little guidance and a little support and sincere effort, you can turn your differentiated classroom into a place of enjoyable learning for the students, making the whole process better for you and for them. So let's hope that this is more what your classroom looks like. Thanks for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Here are my references. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much. Have an excellent day.